Good evening, welcome to News live on the SLBC. I'm Sam Mataba. Coming up in tonight's edition of News, President Bill calls on Sierra Leoneans to pay local tax to Freetown City Council. Minister of Agriculture commissions agricultural equipment for 26 agricultural business centers in the Western area. And Minister of Mines and the National Minerals Agency engage mining companies in Tonkoli and Kono district. All the stories and more are lined up within the next 1 hour of News tonight. Welcome to News. For our first story tonight, President Julius Maada Bio today paid his yearly local tax to the Freetown City Council. The tax receipt was handed over to the President by the Mayor of the Freetown City Council, Yvonne Akisoya, at State House. How Mosi reports.
Handing over the receipts to President Julius Maada Bio, the Mayor of the Freetown City Council, Yvonne Akisoya, said that revenue is very important for the running of the city. She said she was excited and grateful that, as the first gentleman of the city, to be the very first person to pay his local tax in 2018. The purpose is for the council to use his endorsement to remind residents in Freetown that the transformation of the city can only be done if the council has revenue to work, and that revenue can only come from taxes which property rates, business license, and most importantly, local tax which every Sierra Leonean of age 18 is obliged to pay. The tax, which is 5,000 news, is requirement for all Sierra Leoneans, and even if you are not approached by local collectors, you should go to the office to pay the tax because it is the responsibility of all to pay.
Our President, His Excellency, retired Brigadier Julius Maada Bio, will this morning set the pace by being the first to pay. You are setting the tone for what we expect to now happen right across our city. We're committed to transforming Freetown. For that, we need revenue. But we want to assure the citizens of Freetown that the revenue will not be misplaced, that we will deliver on our targets.
President Julius Maada Bio said that it is the responsibility of the mayor to make sure that citizens within the age of 18 residing in the municipality pay their local tax.
I've always said to the mayor that she is in charge of the city, but we all live in the city, and therefore we owe it an obligation to make sure it functions well.
The council has a very huge tax, and they are in charge of the capital city that gives the first impression to every visitor coming to the country.
As small as this might be, it is an indication of our willingness to also contribute to the state, to the city. So I hope that you are going to identify other sources of revenue and make sure that those revenues are applied properly.
The President has set the pace for all Sierra Leoneans to pay their local tax of 5,000 news per year. SABC TV News Eye in Freetown. Hawa Mosiwe reporting.
The Ministry of Mines and the Minerals Agency and the National Minerals Agency has engaged mining companies in the Tonkoli and Kono district. The team updated the companies on their operations and their compliance to community development agreements. Joseph Toure filed in this report.
The mining sector is very paramount to the country's revenue generation. Over the years, some citizens have expressed concerns over the operations of mining companies and their compliance to labor laws, and the mining impacts they have on the environment, and many more. At Dayu Mining Company Limited at Masumbre Village, Tonkolili District, the Minister of Mines and Mineral Resources, Dr. Mori Manye, and his team engaged the management of the company on issues of the welfare of local staff, development activities in the community, and the environment. Reminded them that they should only operate within the framework of their license, and failure to comply will lead to serious penalties. He urged them to extract, process and produce the gold in Sierra Leone. The minister also engaged representatives of the Meya Mining Company Limited in Tankoro and the Nimikoro chiefdoms in the Kono district. He was briefed on the exploration process of the company. Also urged them to expedite their large-scale mining registration process. The minister and his team also visited the exploration site to get first-hand information of what is happening there. The team finally made a follow-up visit to the construction site at Koyadu village in Tankoro Chiefdom, where the 709 carats diamond was founded in 2017. According to the paramount chief and the members of the community, 8% of the money was for development purposes in the community, which include construction of a 6-classroom building, a clinic, and safe water facility. The minister also registered his disappointment in the manner at which the work is going. He urged them to work for the community as was agreed initially.
We want to know what their contribution is going to be to these mining communities, and that is one of the reasons for the visits to the mining sites. What is actually happening on, we want to have first-hand experience.
He promised that the ministry and the National Minerals Agency will do regular and unannounced visits to mining companies in other parts of the country.
King's Production Factory Management has compensated Madam Augusta Lahai, the mother of Eunice Salebi and family, 75 million following an industrial explosion incident that occurred on the 20th of April this year. The incident took place at the Shell east end of Freetown that killed Eunice Salebi and injured several others. The Ministry of Labour and Social Security intervened swiftly and assessed the cause of the explosion at the King's factory. Sheila Refo sent us this report. Minister of Labour and Social Security Adekunle Milton King presented a check of 75 million to the deceased mother, Madam Augusta Lahai. The Labour Minister recalled that they have played their role since the time the incident took place by paying visits at the factory and ordered the King's Production Factory Management to compensate the deceased family. He said that the way the young man died was terrible and continued consoling the bereaved family.
Augusta, one old woman once said to me that nobody ever promised you, not even God himself promised you, that life is going to be easy. Behold, I will never leave you, nor forsake you. At this difficult period in your life, I want to emphasize that to you, that God will never leave you, nor forsake you.
President of the Sailor Labour Congress, Janice Wright, said that Eunice Salebi only worked at the factory for just 1 week and that the factory management was not happy over such incidents. Recall that the company at the time had just bought new equipment at the factory and consoled the mother, Madam Augusta Lahai, for the great loss. The mother of the deceased, Eunice Salebi, Madam Augusta Lahai, said besides the money from King's Production Factory, she was in this gathering with a heavy heart for the loss of her son. She said Eunice Salebi was playing a great role in the family and left behind 3 children.
I'm not too eager for the money. I'm not too eager. I'm picking in life ago. That's important to me.
I know the pain coming from my heart now. For me to lose my son through this kind of incident, the way my son died, no amount of money will satisfy me. I saw my son after the post-mortem. He was seriously damaged, and the factory should have protected workers.
Mr. Minister, I'm happy for this family. I don't mind. I'll take care of my grandchildren. Let me pick it up.
The Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, Anthony Brewer, has said that the government inherited a decentralization program that requires substantial strengthening and consistency.
Decentralization is a viable, strategic and cross-cutting intervention for the achievement of rapid and appropriate local governance. Lawyer Abuye was speaking at a two-day forum on clarification of roles and responsibilities in the implementation of the Community Monitoring Initiative, Participatory Budgeting and Grievance Redress Mechanism for councils. Sheku Sumaila has more.
Forum on Tools and Responsibilities in the Implementation of the Community Monitoring Initiative, Participatory Budgeting and the Grievance Redress Mechanism for key officials of local councils targeted the Freetown City Council, Port Loko District Council, the Western Rural District Council and the Bombali District Council. These are districts that were hard hit by the Ebola outbreak, and it is a 3-year project that is supported by the Japanese government to look at challenges faced by these councils and how they could be addressed. One key area of attention is the grievance redress mechanism, which looks at how citizens can channel their concerns to councils for redress. The Director of Decentralization Secretariat, Alassane Kano, said the decentralization process in the country is steadily progressing, even though there are challenges.
The effective implementation of the project commenced in January because there were bureaucratic delays between the government of Sierra Leone and World Bank. And from January to date, the implementation has taken a smooth path. I should also thank the Honorable Minister for fully participating in the just concluded implementation of both mission of World Bank.
Colina Macaulay is the Monitoring and Evaluation Officer, Decentralization Secretariat. She said the sessions looked at how to use the necessary tools for social accountability and how to respond to complaints from local people to mitigate conflict, especially during project implementation. Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, Anthony Brewer, thanked the government of Japan and the World Bank for providing the funds for the implementation of the strengthening community mobilization and local council service delivery projects in post-Ebola context. Mr. Brewer said government inherited a decentralization program that requires substantial strengthening. Government, he said, will bring on board measures that will ensure a quick turnaround in the prospects of the country's decentralization reform.
Let me, on behalf of His Excellency President Julius Maada Bio and the government of Sierra Leone, and more especially my ministry, thank the government of Japan and the World Bank for providing funds for the implementation of this project, known as the Strengthening Community Mobilization and Local Council Service Delivery in the Post-Ebola Context project.
Raman Tom Farmer is the Chief Administrator for Local District Council. He said the orientation will better their work as councils.
So therefore, the grievance mechanism platform is there to bring the parties, both the accused and the grievance parties together to see how they can be able to solve some of these grievances. So it's very important that it also can bring the people to understand what the project is so that the values or the objectives of those projects can be imbibed in everybody.
It is now expected that these core staff of councils will put into action what they have learned for effective and efficient operations of councils across the country. Reporting for SLBC News, I'm Sheku Sumaila.
Salient Commercial Bank has embarked on Million SLCB kiosk and Million SLB Stiller to market women at Cruton Road, Sani Abacha Streets, Sewa Grounds and Garrison Streets. Alfie and Philly filing these reports.
Banking Sierra Leone Commercial Bank said the outreach to Cruton Road Market, Abacha Street and the Sewa Grounds, Garrison Street is about promoting their product, Million SLCB Kiosk and Million SLCB Tiller. He said since the launching of the product in June 2018, they have been trying to get banking to the doorsteps of many people as possible. The head of retail banking said they have kiosks at Adonkia, Dewey and Wilberforce. He stated that the products are planned to cover many areas in Freetown and soon they will be spread to the provinces. Mr. Sowa said their product is targeting people who have an account and those who do not. He was assertive that the product will serve as an eye-opener to market women as banking is now open today.
Conducted an outreach program visiting Crouton Road Market and Sani Abacha Street Market. We also did the Sewa Grounds, Garrison Street, and what have promoting our products, Mion SLCB kiosk and the Mion SLCB teller. Since then, we've been trying to get banking to the doorstep of as many people as possible.
I went to the Crouton Road Market to buy Afrigas, but I did not have any money on me. I was thinking that I would go to the bank on Monday, but I had SLCB doing an advertisement and I inquired if I could withdraw money from them. Immediately the transaction was completed and I felt so good.
Minister of Technical and Higher Education, Dr. Iyakpakima, Professor Iyakpakima, has appealed to the management of St. Joseph's and the Maria Ines Vocational Institute in Marampa Chiefdom, Botloko District, to increase intake of students in a quest to broaden the middle-level manpower base of the country. He made this appeal during an inspection tour of both institutes to assess challenges for possible intervention for improvements. Mama Suma reports.
Has promised that his government will develop technical and vocational education to provide technical skills to youth in areas relevant for the job market. In this vein, the Minister of Technical and Higher Education, Professor Iyakpakima, has appealed for more intakes of students to the management of the St. Joseph's and the Maria Ines Vocational Institute in Nonsar, Marampa Chiefdom in the Botloko District. The St. Joseph's Vocational Institute was opened in 1982 by the St. Joseph's Fathers of the Venetian province in Italy to train middle-level managers, technicians with combinations of practical expertise, amongst others. Today, the institution again has embarked on the training of girls who drop out of schools to work as a means of their survival. They express happiness over their arrival at the St. Joseph's Vocational Institute as the institution has helped them shape their future. They appeal to the government for startup kits so that they can be of service to themselves and their communities after the training program.
Because some man and we can take you now.
I was a commercial sex worker and the life I was living is not worth, and that is why I'm very happy to find myself in this institution. Some of these guys we used to go out with, they would spend the night with us without paying our money and they'll beat us up. I'm encouraging all my colleagues to leave the street and join this vocational institution as to give us a better life.
Me go motivate them more for let them come back like how we don't do so.
Being here has changed my life a lot. People do admire at us whenever they see us working. Have learned how to make so many things like metal doors. Before now, I have no idea how to do this.
Principal of the St. Joseph's Vocational Institute, Brother Joseph Sheku Tarawali, said that they are aware of the high rate of unemployment in Sierra Leone. Even after finishing university, it is hard to find a job. He added that technical training is a very good alternative to find employment or continue to study at higher levels, and that the aim of the institution is to implement technical education to train the youth in different skills. Representative of the Maria Ines Vocational Institute, Rugiato Kamara, said that it was not an easy thing for the people in the locality to recognize and embrace with open hands the need for a vocational center because of the low mentality. She added one could not imagine in those days and matured ladies putting on uniforms going for education with provocations by the community. Minister of Technical and Higher Education, Professor Iyakpakima, was impressed with both the management for their relentless efforts in capacitating the youth of this nation, especially the girl child. Whilst appealing to the management of both institutions for more intakes of students, he emphasized on the girl child and the dropouts to encourage them to be part of the trainings.
One from your institutions is to increase the number of intakes for us as a government, so that including our prospective instructors to be trained or retrained, so that when the time is up for those other ones to be engaged, then we have the instructors, then the places are not going to be vandalized. So that's one of the reasons we're here, and also to take a look at what you are doing and what you require to increase the number of those intakes for us, for the government to start the vocational and technical training in October, so that we can be able to find that resource and then pass it on to you, because we really sincerely want to start in October.
Lack of equipment, startup kits for the students and teachers not being part of the government's payroll were center of the discussions. SLBC TV, Mariam Asuma reporting.
Meanwhile, the Deputy Minister of Technical and Higher Education, Dr. Turat Senesi, has assessed suburban education facilities in Bo, Kenema, Moyamba, and Kailan districts. The visit is to look at how the suburban education project, which started in 2002, has been ongoing, the aim was to restore the country's basic and technical education system after the civil conflict. Rose Konema Stevens went along.
Technical and vocational skills quest in the country, and also help to rebuild the education sector after being deteriorated by the decade-old rebel war. The Deputy Minister of Technical and Higher Education, Dr. Turat Senesi, expressed dissatisfaction over what he described.
Authorities of the National School for the Deaf and the Milton Magai School for the Blind have called on the Ministry of Health and Sanitation to include children with disability on the free health care scheme. They made this call during the presentation of drugs by the Minister of Health and Sanitation at the Milton Magai School for the Blind at Wilkinson Road. Diane by reports.
The provision of these medical drugs to the National School for the Deaf and the Milton Magai School for the Blind will save them cost to purchase drugs for their students. The gesture is part of President Vio's vision to extend the free healthcare initiative to Ebola survivors and persons with disability. Students who fall sick will now be provided with first aid kits as preventive measures during emergencies. Among the drugs provided are wound dressing, anti-malaria medicines, antiseptics, plasters, and bed nets. Director of Medical Supplies, Jack Lassana, said that the provision of the drugs is in fulfillment of a plea made to the Minister of Health and Sanitation to ensure students who are blind and deaf have access to medical drugs. He said that the drugs provided are part of the free healthcare initiative aiming to ensure a healthy condition for children, lactating mothers, and the country. He said that the Ministry of Health and Sanitation attaches topmost priority on access to health facilities, which is the right of every citizen. Senior Chief Pharmacist, Directorate of Drugs and Medical Supplies, Jatu Abdullahi, said that the consignment of the drugs is part of President Vio's vision to extend the free health care initiative to Ebola survivors and persons with disability. She assured the school authorities that they will be assisting them with inventory control tools and also help train their nursing sister on the use of the drugs and proper storage. She spoke of plans to deliver efficient and high-quality health services that can be accessible and affordable. The Milton Magai School for the Blind headmaster, Salutary, and a teacher from the National School for the Deaf, Marvel Thompson, appealed to the Ministry of Health and Sanitation to extend the free healthcare initiative facilities to disabled students. They described the gesture as a step in the right direction, especially when the availability of drugs for students was a challenge. They commended the Minister of Health and Sanitation for his swift response to provide them with drugs, adding that the gesture will be used for its purpose.
The chairman of the National Assets and Government Property Commission, Habu Indolo Musiri, has inspected the government assets at OAU Villa in Freetown. According to the chairman, The commission will be used to generate revenue to achieve the objectives of the new direction, Yvette Goldsmith reports.
Many a time, government's assets have been converted to private property without any dividend to the government. National Assets and Government Property Commission under the Office of the President was established to identify, manage and control the use of national assets and government properties. The Commissioner said national assets and government property can be used to generate revenue to achieve the objective of the new direction.
For most of you that have spent government property, maybe you want to take ownership of it. But I don't know, maybe you can tell me that. Or maybe there is some arrangement between you and somebody or whatever that I don't know. But what we are concerned about as a commission is to make sure we police government property. And that's why we're here.
The Executive Secretary, National Assets and Government Properties, Franklin Lawson, called on all Sierra Leoneans to provide information to the Commission to help it retrieve government's assets. He added that the monitoring exercise at OAU Villa proved that the villas are occupied by tenants who proved that the villas are owned by the government.
The visitors so far today, they have not changed hands. They are not being sold. They are occupied by tenants so far. So the information that most of these villas are sold, it is not true to the rest of the ones we inspected today.
No. Okay, fine. We are fine. Yeah? But just that
The Commission, according to Mr. Mosie, is enforcing a comprehensive digital data for government's property and assets and also maintains proper monitoring system. Yvette Goldsmith, Freetown.
The Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry and Food Security has commissioned agricultural equipment to 26 agricultural business centers in the Western area. They include rice haulers, coal vehicles, bags, sewing machines and trucks to enable farmers access the market easily. Seriba Sumra was at the symbolic presentation.
Following a census of some 193 agricultural business centers nationwide, the technical and crop division teams of
the hometown of President Bio Tinho has been for the first time connected to mobile network. Tinho village is located in Sumbima Chiefdom in the Bont district. Auna Patrick Kumar reports.
Tune Village is the hometown of President Bio. This village, according to the paramount chief of Sugbeni Chiefdom, Stephen Bayon, was one of the deprived communities in the Banff districts. He said the coming of Orange Network into their communities will help them to speedily develop as they can now communicate issues directly to authorities concerned. PC Bayon noted that due to the absence of network in their communities, pregnant women lost their lives because of lack of communication access. He commended Orange Network for connecting them to the rest of the world. Director Corporate Affairs Orange Barry Ono said since they took over Airtel in 2016, they have erected over 45 new towers across the country to make communication accessible to the rural people. He said they have invested $33 million to improve all the network system in the country. Mr. Hano said they have launched a plan to make the network more reliable in the country. Corporate Affairs Director said they have also launched the expansion plan to improve on coverage nationwide and said that 150 generators in different sites across the country have been replaced last year. He explained further that they have connected over 185 new locations across the country.
He assured the community of stable and reliable network that has all the Orange facilities, comprise Orange Money, internet facilities, among others. He called on them to take care of the tower as it is their property. Other community representatives appreciated Orange Network for coming to their rescue as communication is essential.
This is a property for Sobene and Bond, in particular Bond the country as a whole. Today, in God's name, we are opening this place for the use of the community, for all the people in Bond District and the country as a whole. According to this group, in the name of Jesus, Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
80 young women have graduated upon completing various vocational courses at the Useful Hands Training Center at Wellington. The ceremony took place at the Dog Christian Fellowship. Nasruddin Kurma reports.
Over 80 young women of the Useful Hands Training Center located at City Road, Wellington were certified. The center provides training in different trade areas plus adult literacy, making it attractive to people with the desire to learn life skills for self-reliance. The keynote speaker of the day's event, Edison Sise, who is also the head of Department Peace and Development Studies at the Evangelical College of Theology, encouraged the young women to maintain the enthusiasm that had brought about their successes in order to improve on what they have acquired. He encouraged them to use what they have now in terms of knowledge to make positive change in their various communities, to motivate other young people to go in search of similar trainings. Vocational skills acquired, Mr. Sise maintained, can bring about self-reliance. He noted that it is, however, dependent on the right determination based on the graduate's realization that vocational skills are lucrative with self-employment opportunities. The acting principal of the center, Reverend Benjamin Bangura, in expressing delight for the center's continuous achievement, said the center had again had another graduation ceremony, making its 18th graduation ceremony. The head of the center said the day's event was important for the center in its continuous contribution in supplying middleman power to the country's workforce. Held at the Dog Christian Fellowship Church, the graduation ceremony created a moment that obviously was one filled with emotion. Friends and relatives celebrated these successes together joyously. Photos were taken during and after the receipt of dummy certificates issued. It was an event with the right celebration mode that saw a lot of hugging, clapping and applauding as the graduates and their loved ones mingled in demonstration of fulfillment. He said proudly that their trainees are most times engaged by employers even before their graduation. With optimism, Reverend Bangura said that the 85 new graduates will be absorbed soon. He encouraged other young people to grab the opportunity within their reach to make themselves self-reliant by getting the center's admission forms, which are out now. Among the graduates was a military sergeant Zainab Masakwe. In her brief statement in appreciation of the center's contribution to improving her in terms of vocational skills acquisition, Sergeant Zainab Masakwe said she made the best choice, which is almost producing the desired results now. Her colleagues of the Republic of the Sierra Leone Armed Forces, RSLAF, and other relatives were there to share the memorable event with her. It was a moment of hugging and cheering and snapshots. The acting principal informed the audience that they have opened their doors again for bringing on board new trainees in the various trade areas. The Useful Hands Training Center was established in 1999 and had its first graduation ceremony in 2001. Since then, the center has produced fine graduates in various trade areas, most of whom are either employed trainers themselves or entrepreneurs. SBC News, Nasruddin Kurma.
For entertainment news, Hollywood actors who identify themselves through DNA as Sierra Leoneans are now creating impact in the industry. The hopes and aspirations of young Sierra Leone entertainers now depend on these grade A celebrities to give in helping hand in the Sierra Leone entertainment industry. Lord John Muhammad King Milan Bangura.
Sierra Leone was discovered in 1462 by a Portuguese sailor, Pedro da Sintra, who came across this beautiful land while searching for clean water and firewood. After his discovery, merchant more white came to this land to start trade with locals, which later led to slave trade. Our colonial masters were sold to white masters in Europe and the Americas, separating beautiful and united families apart for eternity. Though they were sold out of Africa, they took with them their artistic skills and entertainment, which they passed on to their children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. One short scale is the act of entertainment. Today, Hollywood is boasting of talented actors and musicians who are great-great-grandchildren of our Sierra Leonean ancestors, sold several centuries ago. Isaiah Washington became the first Hollywood actor who discovered his roots from the Mende tribe of Sierra Leone through DNA testing, followed by his close friend Michael K. Williams, an actor and rapper who was discovered by the late rapper Tupac Shakur, and he played Tupac's little brother in the movie Bullet. Also was the rapper Questlove of Ruth Band, then Black Thought, also a singer Indiana Ari, and CNN commentator Mark Lamont Hill, whose ancestors hail from the Mende tribe in Sierra Leone and the Fulani tribe of Guinea-Bissau. Also, the Hollywood actor who grew up in England and now based in the United States of America, Idris Elba, whose parents directly hail from Sierra Leone and Ghana, is also proud of his origin.
Both my parents are from Sierra Leone, and any Sierra Leoneans here anywhere? Yeah, no? Okay.
Oh,
One!
All right. Wow. Do you know him?
She's like, no. But no, it was great. You know, I'm an only child. My mom and dad, they really sort of retained their culture. Even though they lived in England, they retained their culture. Spoken Creole is the language, which is basically just pidgin English, is broken English. So I can speak that badly. I can understand it. Lots of real African food, you know. Fufu, you know what fufu is?
Yeah.
Now, Sierra Leone is boasting of another young, talented Hollywood actor, Chadwick Boseman, who was born and raised in Anderson, South Carolina, USA. Boseman's DNA testing indicated that his ancestors were from Yoruba in Nigeria and Limba in Sierra Leone.
What I did is I took a DNA test.
Me too.
I took African ancestry.
What's the difference?
So African ancestry could tell you the specific ethnic group that you come from. But if you know that you're Yoruba from Nigeria, then you can now you can pinpoint specific customs and rituals that are part of your past that I found in mine. That I'm Limba from Sierra Leone. That's a more specific. I could go talk to somebody.
Yeah.
There that specifically knows, you know, this is your background.
You turn around.
You prefer the view from behind?
Boseman has been featured in a lot of Hollywood movies like Gods of Egypt and even portrayed the legendary lead singer James Brown in the 2014 movie Get On Up. His latest movie was the blockbuster movie Black Panther, where he played a role as T'Challa. Chadwick hopes to visit his homeland one day, along with all those big Hollywood celebrities. The hope and aspiration of our young home Sierra Leonean entertainers depend on these grade A celebrities to give a helping hand to the Sierra Leonean entertainment industry.
You get to decide what kind of king you are going to be.
Thanks to King Milan for putting that story together. We now go back to the story on the Ministry of Agriculture, Forest and Food Security presentation of equipment to 26 agricultural business centers in the Western area, filing by Serba Samura.
Following a census of some 193 agricultural business centers nationwide, the Technical and Crop Division teams of the Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry and Food Security selected 93 The 26 ABCs on the first phase of the project include Kwama, Campbelltown, and Mafambo community centers. The project manager, Smallholder Commercialization Project, Peter Kindane, said the project is worth over $2 million United States dollars. The assessment of the other agricultural business centers, he added, is ongoing, and that the second phase will come up after the distribution of the equipment to the various agric centers. The Deputy Minister of Agriculture, Forestry and Food Security, Sam King Brima, reminded the farmers that what is happening now is in tune with the President's new direction agenda of improving the operations and progress of farmers of Sierra Leone. Mr. Brima applauded the administration of the Smallholder Commercialization Project for what he described as their hard work of mobilizing the farmers. He warned the farmers against negligence in handling the equipment, noting that some agricultural business centers in the past did not make good use of the grants. The Deputy Minister of Agriculture said that government will supervise progress of the farmers to ensure successful, viable enterprises. Commissioning the equipments, the Minister of Agriculture, Forestry and Food Security, Joseph Danema, was quick to warn the farmers that they should desist from corrupt practices and be focused on their farming. He told them that there will be penalties for those caught going the opposite direction. As he said, they must note that President Bio is keen about disciplined leadership. A representative of the farmers, Frederick Hansels, was impressed with the government through the Agriculture Ministry for empowering them to graduate from subsistence to commercialized farming. He promised the minister that with close supervision from the technical team of the project, they will deliver on the expectations of government. Soriba Samura, SLBC, Freetown.
Let's again go back to the story on the Deputy Minister of Higher and Technical Education visits to Sababo Education facilities in Bo, Kenema, Moyamba, and Kailau. Dr. Turat Senesi, a story filing by Rose Konima Stevens.
Technical and vocational skills quest in the country and also help to rebuild the education sector after being deteriorated by the decade-old rebel war. The Deputy Minister of Technical and Higher Education, Dr. Turat Senesi, expressed dissatisfaction over what he described as neglect and misuse of government properties by citizens. He said these facilities were meant to improve human capacity. He spoke on President Bio's determination to turn around the country's education system. He stressed that government is planning to rehabilitate these structures into technical and vocational education centers.
This facility was built to ensure that we have training programs, instituted, but then that's not the case. So I'm disappointed that it has been neglected over the years. It has not been put into use. We have to do everything possible to ensure that it is functional. We believe if we want to move Sierra Leone, it has to be education. And there is already a promise. We want to take education to the doorsteps of people in Sierra Leone, our brothers and sisters. We've not sent people. We've come here to make sure that we do the assessment ourselves, and then we get back to the drawing board and see what could be done by government to move these institutes or the institutions forward. We place much premium on the educational aspect of our people. That's why we're here. So we have to push very hard to have this institution up and running.
At each stopover in the various regions, including Kailau, Kenema, Bo, and Moyamba, the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Technical and Higher Education, Gilbert Cooper, informed this medium that these structures were constructed in order to expand employment opportunities for youth, noting that the government is putting in place programs to equip young people with skills. Among facilities visited are Jalwang Vocational Center, IPAM campuses in Bo and Kenema, and OIC campuses. Some of these facilities, according to the Deputy Minister, are used by institutions that are not supposed to use them. The team also inspected facilities in Moyamba, where the team members also expressed disappointment. These facilities were provided with modern equipment which were not seen during this visit, for which an investigation is going to be carried out. SLBC News, Rose Konima Stevens.
Up next is Sport with Francis Barnett.
Good evening. It's Sport Update on News Hour with me, Frances Bernard. The Minister of Sport, in an interview with SLBC's Esther Mari Samoa, has said that the SLFA Extraordinary Congress will go ahead as planned, despite a letter from FIFA suggesting otherwise. He made this statement at his Bishop House office.
That information, honestly, is unfortunate, and I think as a government and as a minister, I don't think whether we are here again to condone anything that will reverse the concept of the new direction. As we have started dealing with the roadmap, FIFA roadmap document, I don't think whether we have to transgress or we have to circumvent anything that has to do with the FIFA roadmap. I believe we are on track. My ministry is on track. So if there is any intention, if they have any hidden agenda to put us backwards, I don't think we as a government will accept that anymore. As I say, as I'm speaking now, we are going, as far as I am concerned, and as far as what we have agreed upon both parties, we are going ahead as scheduled for the 27-28 Congress in Bo. This is a new dispensation, right? We have our own way of doing things, okay? Of course, we inherited a system that has been polluted. I'm relating here to football. Everybody knows there is a conflict, serious conflict in football. But the advent of this new dispensation, okay, we have employed a very dynamic and a very comprehensive system where we see there should be a dialogue, and a dialogue which I think both stakeholders and the SLFA should see reason and come to one so that we can kickstart the league. But notwithstanding the FIFA roadmap document that I've just spoken about, we are going according to the FIFA roadmap document. Now, anybody who tends or anybody we think doesn't want to go or abide to the FIFA road document, well, we see that somebody as an enemy of this country. Because
what will we do?
What?
What will you do?
Well, as a government, we have our own position. Okay? That document is not in our making. It's a document that we inherited. Both the two parties agreed to work on that document. If we see any of those parties trying to circumvent or trying to play any tricks or any game with that document, I think the government will come out with a very strong statement, very strong position. We are not going to compromise. We are not going to condone any backwardness again in this football. Okay, the family should now settle, and the people of this country should be free. The people of this country should see football play.
Minister of Sports Ibrahim Yelenke talking there to SLBC's Esther Mari Samoa. Well, for another story on News Hour tonight, the Sierra Leone delegation to the All-African Youth Games will depart Sierra Leone tomorrow for Algiers, Algeria, for their participation in the Youth Games in Algeria. And finally, for Sports Update on News Hour, the two-day environmental awareness seminar organized by the National Olympic Committee of Sierra Leone in partnership with the Environment Protection Agency has ended at the Atlantic Hall at the Siaka Stevens Stadium in Freetown. Well, that's all we can provide for you in this edition of Sports Updates on News Hour. I am Frances Bernard. Good night.
Well, we sport to round things up tonight, and now to introduce the main points again. President Julius Maada Bio has called on Sierra Leoneans to pay local tax to the Freetown City Council. Ministry of Agriculture has commissioned agricultural equipment to 26 agricultural business centers in the Western area, and the Ministry of Mines and the National Minerals Agency have engaged mining companies in Tonkoli and Kono districts. That's all in the news tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Salma Taba. Good night.